Not Guyana coffee. This is Columbia dark roast. Anyways, Monday morning, family day in Ontario, and I guess it's President's Day in the States. And this morning didn't turn out right, as you can see from my video that I'll post after I ramble. Wake up and what do you do? Where do you start? I've been motivating myself, working out, walking through quicksand for a whole year. I mean, summertime and when the weather was good, you go for a walk, you get the blood flowing outside. I mean, working out in the house, it's okay, but there's nothing that beat fresh air. And I'm thinking about all these science fiction movies that we watched in the past. I Am Legend, Omega Man was the one, Silent Green, Book of Eli, when the world took a turn and everything just went to hell. And it reminds me something about the sun. Many years ago, I was in a bad place, and I went to temple, and the Pandit, my uncle, gave me a Gita. I think it's Prabhupada, the Hare Krishna people one. And I brought it home, and knowing me, I love to read. I read it from the beginning to the end. And then certain passages and stuff, it's a very deep philosophical text. So, you got to really know your stuff to understand it. And I bet I didn't understand 99%. I mean, I don't get it. But I got a lot of the important things about life, like our life today, not the fairy tale stuff. And, there are, a lot of these religious texts have, the majority of this stuff is control mechanism, philosophies, to control the people, to keep them in place. So at the beginning it said that knowledge were handed down to man by the sun god. As Hindus, everything and everyone is a god. And it's not wrong, because every religion that come after says the same thing. God created everything, and then He entered into it. Let that sit for a while. God created everything and then entered into it. So everything and everyone is God. So if God is within you and you create something, you are the instrument, right? I mean, that's what they say. And He is the doer. So if, for example, I create a cup and He is within me, sitting in my heart, then He or she created the cup. And for it to look beautiful and for it to serve its purpose, that spirit has to enter into it, or else it wouldn't exist. Makes sense, right? I mean, I like things to make sense. So anyways, going back to the sun, God passing the knowledge of life on this planet onto man, comes back to what's happening right now. Scientifically, it's proven that we need the sun. everything, the trees, when you put a seed in the ground, it grows towards the sun. The sun stimulates everything to make it what it is. And us human, we need the sun. And you see the solar panel up here? It needs the sun. The brain is in there. And when the sun hits your head, it stimulates your brain, makes it active, makes you alive, make all the information in there comes alive. If we live in a cave and in darkness without the sun, eventually we will go mad. So these movies I mentioned, it talked about, some of these creatures, especially in the Omega Man and I Am Legend, they don't come out during the day, they come out at night because they're mad, they're crazy. If they come out during the day, well, in the movie it says it'll kill them, but to be locked down, to be locked inside, not being able to go out, not being able to experience some of the sun energy, it's not a good thing. So I hope we're all able to hold it together until we reach the light at the end of the tunnel someday. I am thinking of a lot of people. I live in a house, so I can go upstairs and I can go downstairs and in the basement and out front and in the back a little bit. But what about all those people who live in small apartments and basements and big families and children that wants to go out, that, how do you control, kids need to be free. They need to run in a park. Those who are living where I guess you have your freedom still, mainly in the tropical regions. You wake up every day and there is your sunshine and the breeze and the animals and everything. Us living up here, especially in the big cities, in the cold wintertime, you don't even hear a bird. So it could get pretty lonely and very difficult. So, people who lost their jobs and have responsibilities and rent and, people to take care of, it's not easy. And what I'm thinking is we've been on a roll as a society and as a world. It's like we're going back to the days of dictatorship and hardship. Many countries, because of the Cold War between the Soviet and the US, they destabilize many countries and put government in or support government that persecute the people. And people lived a tough life. And, somewhere around the late 80s and 90s, things turned around because nobody lived forever. A lot of those dictators and people died or got overthrown. And, we've been on a tear and we have opened up our borders and became a global family. And then when computers and technology and internet came in, we were connected more. And, we were looking forward to operate as a global family. And somewhere, like whatever we wanted, we could get. Abundance, too much of everything was available. and life was so busy, and there were no poor people or rich people. I mean, when you walk in the street or in the mall, everybody had a Michael Kors and you know proper clothing and fancy shoes and cars. And but at home we don't know whether they could afford it or not. But you go to the school, all the kids were wearing whatever the trend was, and everybody had cell phones and top of the line stuff. And then all of a sudden, I think, a few years back, we have turned a corner where we start to hiss and snap at each other. And, it's like we're sliding back. We've reached the peak of abundance, and we're starting to slide back. And it's like every little thing has to end up in a big fight and argument, and everybody is right. you know like I state my opinion. I mean, but I don't want to be attacked for my opinion, and people attack you. You say something and they attack you. It's like everybody is more right than the other person. I don't know where we're headed. And on top of that, now the pandemic is here, and it's demonstrating how, an old Guyanese word, wayward we have become. We don't listen to anybody anymore because we know everything. And we don't care. It's other people's problem. I'll do what I want to do. Nobody's going to stop me from doing this. And that attitude is killing a lot of people. And like I said many times before, this is World War III. We are fighting a war, and the enemy is invisible. The enemy has rendered all of our armies, all of our military arsenal, all of our religious leaders that promise miracles and that could do stuff, all the books, all the philosophy, everything has been rendered obsolete by what's happening. And this planet is a living, breathing planet. The solar system, the Milky Way, is a living, breathing system. It sustains our life. And when we mess with it, eventually, like a well-trained dog, it'll turn and snap at you. Everything and everybody has a limit. Everything and everybody have a limit. And we are all capable of the greatest good and the greatest evil. Don't ever think that we're not. That's how we're all built as human beings, 50-50. And same thing with this beautiful, angry planet. You look out someday and it's so beautiful and peaceful and it hugs you. And then the next day is an earthquake, a tsunami, a volcano, storm, snow, rain, flood, We're opposite image of our environment. So as we kill the environment, we pollute the environment and the planet, we're doing that indirectly to ourselves because we're linked like an umbilical cord to the planet. So as it dies, we will die along with it. Don't ever think that we'll go to another planet. We cannot live in space. The astronauts are a couple of months in the space station and they lose body mass and all that. We're not meant for out there, So I don't know. It's just, I think it's a blue Monday. We're in for a couple of weeks of winter and, trying to be creative. And, it's up and down. Some days, some moments, the brain works and everything is firing. And then you get a phone call or you see something in the news or I don't know, it's just something just drags you down and you got to pick yourself back up. And, you wonder all the work you're doing, is it for naught or will someday we'll be able to turn it into something? So I don't know. It's just my rambling this morning. It's just one of those days. But we human beings, I always say this, we are very resilient. We have overcome atrocities that you would not even imagine. What we're going through right now is nothing. In Europe, the great potato famine. In Africa, the slaughtering of people. And, you go back historically, all this racism, all the slavery stuff. It's us human. In the old days, let's look at the pyramids in Egypt. Who built it? It was the slaves, you know? And then you looked at all those monuments and architectural buildings in India. Who built them? So if white people did not use colored people as slave, before they discovered the colored people, they were using their own people as slave. And us Indian people, we probably used slaves and workers because we had caste system when you look back. And in Africa too, there were different levels of people. So, and for that to happen, you have to, I guess, hate people to punish them that way. But I guess back then, these people who do these things, it's not, I don't think they think that they're punishing people. I think they think that it's their right because of their status. So to eradicate it on the planet, stuff just get swept under the carpet to raise its head again. Look in the States and, in Canada here, the indigenous people still, the government, Trudeau, apologize for all the atrocities or whatever, but the people are still suffering, living in slumber. They've taken all the good land, just stuffed them in a little reservation somewhere. People who, it's like putting a bird in a cage. Those are the people who roam the land. That's their lifestyle, nomadic. And all of a sudden you put them in one place, they will self-destruct. It'll take many, many generations for them to evolve and adapt into the society we have created. And when they adapt and they try to integrate in this society, they're blocked. How dare you come in here? How dare you be educated? How dare you open a business, and move on up and try to be a part like us? And the funny thing is, they say they want the people to be educated. You're not going to Harvard. You're not going to Yale. There are roadblocks everywhere. But it's all life, and somehow we have to figure out a way. what we want and where we belong, which part of the puzzle I fit in, and do that. And I know where I fit in, and I know what I want to do, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to do that. And that's it. That's the end of my